What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. And yes, we do have a theme tune. I've seen some people in the chat. Someone sent it to us. They made it for us with AI, and we think it's quite relaxing. Because usually when I come on, it's not very relaxed. I'm usually hyped up and shouting about something. So it's nice to calm it down a little bit before we start. Loads to get through tonight. I think somebody got sacked today. I'm not exactly sure. And also, I think there might be some type of an award ceremony going on. But you wouldn't know it if you're a Real Madrid fan. They've been so humble and calm and quiet about it all. It's been a joy to behold, Real Madrid fans continually just covering themselves in such glory. Not at all entitled arseholes in any way, shape or form. So yeah, we've a lot to get through, my friends. So the lettuce was defeated, but the potato was king, as we know. It outlasted Mr. Erik ten Hag, who has been given his marching orders, his P45, and sent on his merry way with a little £14.5 million in his back pocket for his troubles. God, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Now, honestly, could you or I or anybody else have done a worse job and still gotten paid? It never ceases to amaze me how crazy football is. You've got this merry-go-round of managers who come in, get fired, piss off somewhere else, multi-million payoffs all the way along. If only we could all get that type of wage, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? The tune is to calm before the storm. Absolutely. It really does calm me down as well, mate. I'm sometimes on here raring to go, angry about something in the football world, and then just sitting back and listening to that for a minute. It does the job. So, right, let's get stuck into it tonight. We've a load to get through. I suppose we got to talk about the Ballon d'Or for a minute, right? Have you seen anything like this Real Madrid fiasco? So here's my take on the whole Real Madrid stuff. Firstly, there is no planet, no world, no universe where Vinicius Jr. has been the best footballer on the planet. Just doesn't exist. Isn't true. Not a chance. So the cry-arsing over the whole Rodri stuff is hilarious. Now, it does make me feel a little bit annoyed to see the way so many people are bowing down once again to Madrid. Madrid are just petulant, spoiled brats. It is that simple. Oh, our player's not winning it, so nobody's going to the award. Oh, but hang on a minute. You're getting Coach of the Year and Team of the Year, lads. That's guaranteed. Is that not good enough? No, because our boy should be the best in the world. He just got his ass whooped again this weekend by Barcelona. And the best in the world don't get their ass whooped. I don't get it. Does anybody out there really feel, heart of heart stuff, that Vinicius Jr. is the best footballer in the world? He's a great footballer, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying the man isn't. But come on now. I know it's been difficult for us in years gone by. We've got Messi, Ronaldo, then Modric comes in and gets one. But if we look at this fairly, I think Rodri's a better player, first and foremost, and he's not in a sexy position, but Rodri has been pivotal in Manchester City's dominance of the English game on the win of the Champions League. Give the man his flowers. He's absolutely brilliant. So when I see the likes of Richarlison and others cry-arsing about it, saying, Richarlison to France football, if Vinny doesn't win, it's going to go down. What's going to go down? Everton. You at Spurs, the state of it. It's so bad, lads. It's so fucking bad. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. The arrogance. And here's the thing that really gets me about Madrid, right? So you've got Madrid, all this stuff, crying about it, blah, blah, we're not going, throwing our toys out of the pram. Also, Real Madrid, hi, we're still in the Super League. UEFA have it in for us. UEFA don't like us. It's disrespect. Motherfuckers, you're in two competitions. You're trying to tell us that you're being disrespected by UEFA, while at the very same time are sticking two fingers up to UEFA to want to go and start this Super League project that's supposed to be starting next season. Which one is it? Make up your mind. Are you going to be in UEFA's competition? Do you want to be in UEFA-themed things? Or are you going off on your own in the Super League? Make your damn mind up. Because they seem to want jam on both sides of their bread. And that's not going to happen. So I'm fed up of Madrid's entitlement. I'm fed up of everything about that club. They are a huge club, I'm not going to deny that. But the arrogance and entitlement and bullshit from them and the bowing down to them needs to stop. I've had a theory for a long time. And my theory has been, and I've said this on the stream, that Madrid are going around building up this collection of superstars to almost dare UEFA to sanction them. We've got Kylian Mbappe, we've got Jude Bellingham, we've got Vinny Jr., we've got Rodrigo, we've got Valverde. We may have future stars in the future. I dare you to kick these lads out. That's what it feels like to me. That they're almost getting to the point where they think they are bigger than the rest of European football combined. And somebody needs to burst their bubble, because it is truly an embarrassment that everybody is bowing down to these lads. Don't want to go to the competition? Don't go. Don't think your player's going to win, so you're not going to show up. That's sportsmanship, lads. That's great sportsmanship. That's going to really teach the next generation of kids, isn't it? If you don't get what you want, throw your toys out of the pram. Well done. Great role models for the game. I think they can leverage this situation into getting others on their side to join the Super League and turn against UEFA. Look, UEFA have a lot to sort out. But this version of the Champions League is the UEFA answer to the Super League. They've basically got what they wanted. They got a couple of extra games. They got more money in their back pockets. That's what this was all about. And again, we're going to ask, who's going to look out for the player welfare? Because I don't see any of that being spoken about. It's just, again, a case of Madrid. It's so tin pot. It's disgusting, honestly. It really, really, really annoys me how they've acted today, just because Vinny Jr., who doesn't deserve to win a Ballon d'Or, isn't going to get a Ballon d'Or. And all the players like Lamina from Wolves coming out and saying Rodri might be the best in his position, but Vinny Jr. is the best in the world, no question. Fuck you! He's not the best in the world. There's not one person I know who looks at Vinicius Jr. and thinks that he is the greatest footballer currently gracing this planet. Not a chance. He is a great footballer, but not a Ballon d'Or worthy footballer. You mean to tell me that man has had more of an impact for his club than the likes of a Rodri, who's done it on the international stage as well? Would you stop? Stop. Because this isn't just about European club competition. Let's look at the international side of it as well. And Rodri delivered there with Spain in the Euros, like they always do. And I have no vested interest in defending a Man City player. But if you're going to give a Ballon d'Or this season, for me, I think Rodri is a more than deserving winner of it over the likes of Vinicius Jr. He's overrated. He's a good player. Like, again, this is not me coming on here saying Vinicius Jr. is not a good footballer. He's a very good footballer. A very, very good footballer. And the racist crap that he's had to put up with, nobody should have to put up with. I'm behind Vinny Jr. and a lot of stuff, but I don't get this attitude. What does it say to the next generation of fans? Any kids watching this now who want to grow up to be the next Vinny Jr., the next Haaland, the next Messi, Ronaldo, this is what they're learning. If everything doesn't go your way and everyone doesn't bow down to you, just throw your toys out of the pram and run around crying like a little bitch. Because that's what Real Madrid are looking like now. Petty little bitches. Vider said, Rodri deserved in the treble year, not last year. Vinny was the best. So remember, it's not just about what you do with your club. It's also about international football. And Brazil are pants in international football. Absolutely. Probably one of the worst group of Brazilian players you've seen in a long... Let's be honest about that. Like, Brazil are not scaring anybody there at the minute with that group of players. So, we've heard this before. Salah couldn't win a Ballon d'Or because Egypt aren't doing it on the international stage. Well, then why is it different when it's Vinny Jr.? We've often had this conversation where we say you've got to be able to do it in both competitions. Modric got to a World Cup, was it semi-final or Euros final or something like that, and delivered with Real Madrid. We can't have it both ways all the time, lads. You know, you either have to do it in both competitions or you just start giving it to Haaland. One or the other. So many people just forget and think it's just club football. It isn't. It is voted for by the managers and captains of 100 nations around the world, and it encompasses international footy as well. And Brazil are terrible at the minute. Right. Anyway, let's move on from the Ballon d'Or talk to a little bit of a different one. Liverpool's Georgi Mamardashvili finished 7th for the Yashin Trophy, so congratulations to him. Obviously, a fine goalkeeper that we're bringing in the future, and it was great to see him there with his missus at the awards ceremony as well, so congratulations. it is mad though when you see some of the rankings in the Ballon d'Or this year, but let's be honest, it's just becoming a dog and pony show at the minute. You know, it's very politically motivated, and I don't like it at all, the Ballon d'Or anymore. It's lost its credibility to many of us. Adam Brown, thank you, mate. First super chat of the night. Appreciate you, bro. Said, Mo Salah not winning a Ballon d'Or is a bigger robbery than Vinny Jr. not winning it. Also, love the song. Thank you, Adam. I think it was a gentleman called Connor, not our Connor, a different Connor, that sent it on to us. And again, we are eternally grateful for people like that for their help. So, I'll take your Mo Salah not winning a Ballon d'Or, and I'll raise you one, Adam. I think Virgil van Dijk not winning the Ballon d'Or is a disgrace. The year that our vote was split because of Mane, Salah and VVD all having great seasons. So, yeah, that's the one I found it hard to get over, because I thought Virgil van Dijk deserved that award that year. But look, leave them to it. It's the cry arson part that gets to me, that's all. So look, speaking of that, Manchester United. What are we saying? Are we worried about the links to Ruben Amorim? Because it's about time they sacked Ten Hag, let's be honest. He was never going to cut it there. And it's cost them about £14.5 million, according to Melissa Reddy, to bin off Eric Ten Hag. And they have PSR issues. So if they go for Ruben Amorim, which is looking very, very likely based off David Ornstein saying exclusive, Manchester United working on a deal to appoint Ruben Amorim as head coach. Somebody else gone on then to say that there's a deal verbally agreed between Manchester United and Ruben Amorim. So he has a €10 million buyout clause in his sporting contract. So it's going to cost United about £22 million all in to sack Ten Hag and to appoint Amorim before you start paying him. So it looks like there's going to be a few more P45s handed out to the old lemmings at Old Trafford as Sir Jim Ratcliffe continues to come in and just slash and trim the fat off and just piss more money up against the wall by the looks of it. Long may it continue. So, Revanite says Amorim is worrying. So I'll tell you in a second why I don't think it is initially worrying. I'm not going to sit here and say Amorim isn't a good coach. He's a very good coach. Harry Klein said, Leverkusen deserve best team, to be honest, just a PR ranking. Well, look, Real Madrid did have a very good season. Leverkusen had a very unique season, absolutely. And, you know, they deserve all the plaudits that came their way for what was incredible. I think maybe if Leverkusen had have gone on and won the Europa, maybe. But, look, I'm not begrudging Real Madrid their best team of the year trophy. Not at all. I just don't believe Vinicius Jr. is anywhere near the best footballer on the planet. So on Amorim, the reason I wouldn't be worried initially about Ruben Amorim at Manchester United is I don't believe Manchester United have the right squad to suit Amorim's style of play. There are some players there, like Ugarte, who I think will flourish under Ruben Amorim. But ultimately, I think it's going to take them another season of transition, and he's probably going to want more money again in the market to spend. So at what point do Manchester United fans look at the higher ups at their club, no matter whether it's the Glazers, Jim Radcliffe or whoever it is, and ask at what point they are going to stop wasting their money? And that's what this is. It is United fans' season ticket money, jersey revenue and everything else that pays for this shit show up at Old Trafford. And it needs to, well, not for us. I hope it never stops. I hope we're sitting here laughing at them for years to come. But they need to figure something out, because it's starting to become a bit of a running joke. It can't always be the manager's fault. Now, it is. Ten Hag is a shit manager, so, you know, you can say that, but how many managers have been and gone there since Sir Alex Ferguson, and nobody's come close to really getting it right? David Massett said, did the lettuce win? No, the lettuce was beaten. I'll give Ten Hag his credit on that one. He did outsee the lettuce. He managed to outdo the lettuce. When I came home from Turkey, the lettuce was dead. But the potato's still going strong, so. Right, so I'm going to ask you for the first poll of the night. Does Amorim at United worry you if he gets the job? Well, so 1 second. Do you know what's going to come next as well? They're going to try and tell us that we couldn't get Amorim, United fans. That'll be the next thing from the watch, even though we got the man we went after. They'll be trying to make out like Amorim wouldn't come to us, but he went to United. I can't wait for that conversation. So, would Amorim at United worry you? Yes or no? Vote away. Right, I need to get to David's comment. 1 second. David, I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of your father, mate. I'm really sorry. I know only too well what that's like. Yeah, man, I seen people in the chat saying condolences and best wishes and love. I didn't know what it was about, but now I've seen that it's your father that's passed away, mate. Sincerely sorry from all of us, David. You've been with us a long time. We appreciate your input on all the streams, and we're sending you love, mate. There's not much we can do to make it any better for you at the moment, bro, but just know that we are here. If you need to come in and vent, or you want to email me and shout at me, whatever you need, bro. Yeah, much love, David. I'm sorry I can't say anything better, but in this moment, just know that we're here if you need us, mate. Suleiman as well said, Solution 1, Ballon d'Or for the position on the field. That would be a great shout. Now, I know that they do give awards for the best in each position, but it is very clear that the Ballon d'Or is very anti-defender. I think that's fair to say. And look, that's the way football is. It's, the attacking players that gain the exposure, I guess, and make the kids fall in love with the game. But sometimes there are just outstanding candidates in other parts of the pitch that deserve that recognition. And I was glad personally when Luka Modric won it, because wow, what a career that man has had, and just an incredible footballer to go on as long as he has at both club and country level. So yeah, sometimes it is definitely a little bit attacker centric. Booty the Bear said, Craig, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm Egyptian. I can tell you that Marmoush is a level above Luis Diaz. He's quick, skillful and finisher. He will be a gem for Liverpool in the Premier League. So I've been spending a lot of time, mate, looking into Omar Marmoush recently. And I want to move on to speak about a great video that somebody sent me a link to. It was a James Alcott video breaking down the game yesterday between us and Arsenal. And there's one particular aspect of that I just wanted to highlight in a minute. But before I do, just get back into this one. And Marmoush looks a real talent. I was kind of a little bit giddy after speaking with David Lynch earlier on as well. And, David didn't say that Liverpool are definitely going after him or anything like that. But he didn't rule it out. And again, we were talking about an X-Factor type player that maybe we're missing. David then leaned in to say that maybe at the moment we're missing that bit of an X-Factor in the forward line. And then you see the links to Marmoush and, all the positive stuff coming out of Germany to say that he'd jump at a chance to come to the Premier League and that he'd say yes to Liverpool immediately. It kind of just got me thinking, is he going to be the next player through? Because the price tag seems perfectly fair at about 50 to 60 million euro. Every report I've seen about him suggested that he continues to develop and get better. His stardom in Egypt, maybe our Egyptian friend there can tell us, his stardom in Egypt is growing as well. People are saying that, people are starting to pay as much attention to Omar Marmoush as they are to Mohamed Salah, and that he is the next big thing from Egyptian football. So couple all of that stuff with his great start for Eintracht Frankfurt for the season as well, and you can certainly see why we're being linked with him. Shane, let me get your comment up, Shane. Shane said, I'm convinced Erik ten Hag will succeed elsewhere. He might do. It might just be the club wasn't the right fit for him. He never struck me, Shane, as a United manager. And one thing I would say, mate, is if he does go on elsewhere, I think he needs to start learning a little bit more humility, because maybe he's a lovely person, but it never really came across when I seen him interviewed. He always felt like he had an arrogance that his record didn't justify to me. And he needs to work on his man management skills as well, because I lost count of the amount of players that he fell out with in that United dressing room. But all of that being said, Shane, I do think that player power has been a problem at Manchester United for a long time. Certainly more so. Them and Chelsea, I would say, from the outside, look like they're the two clubs that have previously had issues around their dressing rooms and players getting managers thrown under the bus. What position does Omar play? So we can play anywhere across the front line, basically. As our friend said earlier on, he can play in a wide position, he can play centrally, and that is something else that would probably make me feel even more likely that Liverpool could look at him, because God, we love a versatile player, don't we? Christchild said, Arsenal fans really salty about yesterday's result. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been talking to my Discord group and to my friends and to other people. Normally I don't have much to do with the Arsenal fans, because I don't really interact with them because I'm not on social media. Other than when I do a few bits with League Gunner, I don't have much doings with Arsenal fans. But I learned something yesterday. They're a different breed. And I don't mean that in a complimentary way. Yesterday our chat was a level of bullshit that I've quite frankly not experienced in a long time. Some of the comments, some of the delusion, some of the arrogance and some of the dismissive nature of some of those Arsenal fans left a sour taste in my mouth, honestly. It was something that I thought didn't really exist. I don't understand it. Like, they're going on like Anthony Taylor robbed them. I don't know what they were watching. They're cry-arsing about the Havertz goal that was disallowed. 3 things about that. Firstly, the ref blew the whistle about 3-4 seconds before he put the ball in the net. Secondly, he handballed it after that. And thirdly, he tried to push one of our players into the post. So pick any one of those reasons that you want, Arsenal fans, and that's why the goal was ruled out. On top of that, I don't know what game they were watching, that they felt like they should have had this, that or the other. Is there a more deluded fan base currently in world football outside of Madrid than Arsenal fans? Because honestly, I don't get it. I used to think Arsenal fans were decent sound, and maybe I just got unlucky yesterday, but it stopped me in my tracks. It really, really did, because I don't know if it's type of content they're used to or whatever, but my God, it made me appreciate my audience and our chat, because it was shit yesterday. Yeah, it was mad. Like, just seeing how they always felt like they were robbed. They can't give anyone any credit. Like, I came on after the match, I spoke about the fact that Arsenal were the better team in the first half. Liverpool became better in the second half. I credited the Arsenal supporters. And they just don't want to give anybody any credit. It's like the whole world's against them. Everybody robs them, and nobody's as good as them. For what? You've won fuck all. Where's this arrogance coming from? Like, I don't like arrogance as a trait in general, but where's it coming from? 1 FA Cup in 6 years. 15 minutes left in the game. At home. And Martinelli's running to the corner flag. Like, Jamie Carragher said something about Arteta, and it made me laugh because he's spot on. He said Mikel Arteta is more turning into Jose Mourinho than he is Pep Guardiola. And I think he's kind of right. He's too negative. And you're not going to win league titles doing that. Like, you're playing at home. And also, this bullshit narrative around injuries can fuck off as well. Because I had to listen to it in the media. All the Arsenal fans talking about it on social media before the game, saying if they don't beat us today, they've no excuse. We're without X, Y and Z. Hello? Have you looked at our injury record? The best goalkeeper in the world isn't available for us. Diogo Jota, who has been our starting centre forward this season, not available. Bradley, not available. Who else was out missing for us yesterday? Chiesa, not available. Elliott, not available. You're not the only team with injuries, lads. It's just when Arsenal have it, of course, it has to be exacerbated because the media just love Arsenal. Oh, Arsenal have to be title contenders. Oh, Arsenal, Gary Neville and Arsenal, the love story that never ends. It's mental. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Or are they a different breed? Because I've dealt with salty United fans over the years and had fun with them. Banter back and forth. Good fun. They're salty, I'm salty, we both go with each other, it's grand. But this Arsenal crowd yesterday that came into our chat and stuff, it was different level. Like, it was horrible. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think anyway. Arsenal haven't experienced robbery like us versus Spurs. And, Harry, like us versus Arsenal. Remember last year when Odegaard went full Harlem Globetrotters? I don't remember Arsenal fans coming to our defence on that one and saying it was a blatant handball by Odegaard, which it was. There's this narrative that the media need to own up to, that they are dying, absolutely wetting themselves to get a London team back to the top. And it is so transparent, and I'm not even English. So I don't have this north-south divide like maybe there is in some sections of the UK media. But as an outsider looking at it, it is absolutely fucking mental to see how blatant it is that they want a London club to do well. I can't believe it, quite frankly. It's embarrassing. Have you seen the Thogden clip when he was at the Madrid game? I haven't, because I would rather stick pins in my eyes than watch him, but I've been told that he was a bit of a twat. You know, again, I don't know exactly what happened, but I didn't even know he was still a thing, to be honest with you. You know, that's how little attention I pay to that type of stuff. So yeah, what do you guys? I'm going to read out some of your comments on Arsenal fans, so throw them into the chat and let me know how you're feeling. Sam Foden said, London football teams just aren't it. If we lose Salah, will he join Barcelona? I don't know if they'd have the money, mate. I can see an appeal on both sides, but I don't know if Barca would be able to free up the money to make it happen. Maybe they could, maybe they wouldn't. I'm not really up on their finances as of late, but I doubt it. Alex Macklin said, it's a nightmare here with the press going on about Arsenal. And when did Gary Neville fall in love with Arsenal as well? Because listen to the commentary yesterday yet again, and the Echo, to be fair to them, picked up on this. So apparently Gary Neville was pretty much just silent when Liverpool equalised. But when Saka scored the opener, well, he was full on Neville ejaculating all over the place. You could hear it. Oh! Again, when Saka scores. And look, Saka's great. Great goal, great young player. But where's that energy as a pundit, as a commentator, when Liverpool scored? Silence. Get him off the games. Because nobody enjoys listening to him. He's just bitter. And it just sounds weird. To hear him bigging up and rimming Arsenal as much as he has is strange. Very strange. And I'm not wrong. Like, he's absolutely just warped. I don't understand what's going on with Neville anymore. When he wasn't screaming for our players to be booked for simulation the week before, now he's just not even acknowledging equalisers and goals. Like, he's just weird. Buklahara said, Neville hates giving credit to Liverpool, especially Salah. It is weird, isn't it? Like, Salah is one of the greatest players to ever grace the Premier League. And Neville going on calling him a cheat and a diver when he's the least protected player probably in the league. And only because of his absolute supreme physicality and upper body strength, he'd be probably in a lot more scrapes and injured a lot more. He gets zero protection. Ask any Liverpool fan watching Salah for the last few years if we think that he gets enough decisions in these little tussles. He doesn't. Right, I want to move on to something that James Alcott highlighted in his summary, a brilliant summary, should I say, of the game yesterday between Liverpool and Arsenal. So obviously, I'm sure most of you guys know who James Alcott is. If you don't, go across and check out his work. He makes some really good stuff, real deep dive, in-depth, tactical analysis into games. Really good content. Certainly would advise you to go and check it out. And one of the gentlemen in our group sent me an email yesterday to say, Craig, watch this video I want to talk about one specific area of it, and he told me where to watch it. And I watched the video, and I learned a lot from it. I'll be honest, I did. And one of the things I learned from James's video was quite how underappreciated Dominik Szoboszlai is. I know a lot of you are probably sitting back there going, this lad on about. Because I know Szoboszlai has come in for a lot of grief. And I haven't been one of the people who've joined in to that grief because I've always believed in him. But I've still said there are things I think he needs to do better. But watching James's brilliant analysis yesterday, it really did show how important Dominik Szoboszlai is to freeing up space for us, to freeing up areas for us to attack and to get the best out of Trent. If you have a chance, watch it. I won't be able to do it justice because James has all the pictures and stills and stuff that really break it down for you. But he's really important. And even broke it down from the time Szoboszlai walked onto the pitch to an immediate impact on the pitch and an immediate impact on our threat going forwards as well. And just how much he closed up the space in that midfield is really interesting. Definitely worth a watch. And yeah, I learned a lot from it. So yeah, thoughts on that, on Szoboszlai. Because we did look a lot better when he came on. Now, that's not a dig at Curtis Jones. I think Curtis Jones has been playing some good stuff recently. But that James video really highlighted exactly how important Szoboszlai is. So I tried to look at it like this. Our midfield at the minute is a real sum of its parts midfield. Everybody in there has their own job that adds to the overall quality of our midfield. And if you take any one of those out, there is a drop-off to some extent. Yes, maybe you'll have other attacking attributes or whatever. But Szoboszlai is the engine room of that midfield and he makes it tick. So I'm a little bit unsure. I'm a little bit unsure of what our expectations of Dom should be. Because yes, more numbers are great. More goals, more assists. We can always talk about that. But it is important to highlight when somebody's doing the donkey work and the good stuff and making those runs, driving us forward, closing gaps in midfield, doing all the things that allow that midfield unit to tick. And one thing yesterday, you probably noticed how long we were going many, many times because there was no space in midfield. And Salah was isolated as well out on the right-hand side because he didn't have his mate there. Usually Szoboszlai's about 10 yards away from Salah when he's winning these aerial balls or when he's playing little 1-2s around the corner. It's usually Szoboszlai who tucks in there beside Salah. David, how are you, mate? Said, where does the arrogance come from deluded FC? No Premier League in 20 years. 1 second, get this up on screen. And never won the Champions League and they tried the dark arts. It's not just, David, that they tried the dark arts, mate. They were trying it with 15 minutes left to go at home. Yes, it is frozen, you're right. I think we're back. Sorry, it did freeze. I think we're back. Sorry. It did freeze. It was freezing on my end as well. It was spinning. So I apologise on that one, folks. We are back. But yes, it definitely was. Yeah, apologies on that one. Apologies. So yeah, let's get back into the chat. I didn't know where I was going now with that one. Give me a topic next. Yeah, apologies on that one, folks. It definitely did buffer. I was doing it on my end as well. Oh, here's a super chat. Well done, Harry, for bailing me out, mate. Thank you. So, I like this analogy. Boxing fans will definitely get your analogy here, Harry. Arsenal are the Devon Haney of football. Entitled, boring club, acting like a massive club but no European trophies. Arteta thinks he's Pep, but kicks off when he isn't good enough and play boringly. Haney to Mayweather. I really love your analogy because I think it's spot on. Hearing Arteta in the press conference, or excuse me, his interview yesterday as well after the game, was very strange. Because he was like, we were the better team, we deserved to win. You were the better team in the first half, no doubt about it. But in the second half, we came back into that game and Arsenal absolutely went into their shells. And I thought that was telling. Because winning is a mentality. And Arsenal yesterday, against us, they had us on the ropes and they didn't finish the job. So it gave me an insight into that Arsenal dressing room, and I'm not as concerned about them. We have a 4-point gap over them, and we've already played them at the Emirates. Now, of course, we do have Man City coming up at the start of December. That's going to be a difficult game. But don't ever tell me that we're not as good as that Arsenal team anymore. I'm not going to hear from Gary Neville or any of the other pundits to tell us that this Liverpool team aren't going to be there or thereabouts. If you're telling me that Arsenal are going to be title challengers, then so are we. Because we're absolutely as good as them. That's my honest opinion of it. Nothing about that Arsenal team now scares me. Can you do a video about how all our young players are doing on loan? I don't think it would need a video. I think we could just do loan watch every so often, mate, and happy to do it, but you know, I don't think it's a standalone video it would do well, to be honest with you. Right, let's check in on the poll. Would Amarim at United worry you? So 73% of you guys with over 1,000 votes have said no. And look, he wouldn't worry me initially. I do think he's a good coach, and I do think he's got something about him. I do. I'm not going to try and run him into the ground in that regard. He's a good coach, but is he going to be able to walk in and wrestle back control of that dressing room and that club? Does he have the gravitas to do it? If I was a United fan right now, I'm trying to be realistic, I think Xavi Hernandez is the man who could walk into that dressing room and say, I've won more than all of you. Just shut the fuck up. I'm here. Let's listen to me. I think he'd be the one, if I was a United fan, that I'd be thinking of. So if it's going to be Amarim, I mean, it's going to be Amarim, but I don't know that stylistically, from the outside anyway, that it looks like a good natural fit. I want to ask a question about the Arsenal fans now, because, you know, I might be wrong. I might have my opinion on them, but I want to see if you guys agree. So I'm going to ask and phrase this question fairly. The question is, are Arsenal fans over the top in their opinions? So let me know, yes or no, on the poll. Are they over the top in their opinions? No, thank you. We don't want your suggestion of Xavi because we know you wouldn't take him at Liverpool. I think, though, that's an unfair comparison, as an example. Like, I'm not sitting here saying Xavi Hernandez is a bad coach. Whether we take him at Liverpool or not, I think is kind of an irrelevant point to the conversation, because our club managed to go and find a coach that came in and fits with the way that we play. And yes, he's tweaked things, but ultimately there was joined up thinking going on there. So, you know, whether Xavi would or wouldn't suit Liverpool is more down to a stylistic thing rather than him not being good enough. So think of it from that perspective. Craig, Arsenal and others should be scared of Liverpool. We're a work in progress, 2-3 players away from being much stronger throughout our squad. Yeah, so I did a video last night. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. Said, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving and I'm not the only one. So, over the past week or two, I've seen a lot more Scousers, so Paddy Pimblett, Jamie Carragher and other locals, who seem to believe that the vibe, I think that's the fairest word I can use, around the city is that there's almost an expectation that Trent is going to move on. Now, obviously, I spoke with David Lynch today, and David still believes there's every optimism at the club that Trent will extend. But I don't know. Some of the language is used around wanting to win Ballon d'Ors at right back. I mean, it led Jamie Carragher to believe he was talking about doing it at Madrid. You've probably seen the clip yourself. If you haven't, have a look for it. And it got me thinking, I think he's right. Now, I want Trent to stay. But I've got a bit of a pain in my arse with the distractions and the questions and all of it, because I know the club have to say the right things about Trent, Virgil and Mo. They have to say the talks are being kept private, talks are underway, yada, yada, yada. But this delusion that it isn't distracting the team and the dressing room and isn't a distraction in general, I think is just, again, bullshit. There is no way that it isn't a distraction. None. Yes, I believe they're professionals and they'll try their best. But ultimately, you can't tell me that their mind isn't wandering a little bit. Because uncertainty is nobody's friend here. And I don't know if this is a bit of brinksmanship from everybody and none of them wanting to be the first one to blink for a contract offer. But the longer this goes on, it becomes more embarrassing to us as a club. We need to get this resolved. Like, we can't even talk about looking to the future and transfer targets when we don't know if we're going to have to rebuild the entire right-hand side, as an example, if we lost Trent and Mo. So uncertainty here is doing nobody any favours. Charlie, how are we, mate? And thank you for your super chat. Charlie said, "Hi Craig, what really angered me yesterday in the game was how easy Arsenal players fell to the floor. Any little touch and they flopped to the floor." I think that can be best described, Charlie, by looking at the incident that Darwin Nunez, I believe, went over to Gabriel. And Gabriel fell to the ground before Darwin even got to him. And the linesman waved the flag so happily to give the free kick to Arsenal. It was pathetic. It was pathetic. So much so that I believe it was the incident that got Sipka Hulshoff and Arne Slot booked. It was absolute embarrassing stuff from the official to flag for that when he'd gone to ground before Darwin even gets over to him. It was mental. Our owners and club is acting very small-minded. I just don't like this. Everything's going to be all right. Just, have faith stuff. Because on Trent, if you really want to stay, and that is decided, I don't believe for 1 second that if you said to Liverpool Football Club that you want to be there, that a solution would not be found for a contract extension pretty quickly. That's what worries me about the Trent situation. We can all talk about Virgil and Mo and at least get to that point where we think it might be because of the raise that the club are pausing or hesitating, or there's maybe a difference in what they're willing to offer. But I don't for 1 second believe that if Trent said to the club, I want to stay here, let's sort out the contract, that wouldn't be done like that. And anybody, I think, who thinks differently, my opinion is that they're just being too optimistic. And that's the fairest I can be about it. Because what is there to decide upon? You either want to be here or you don't. If you're thinking about it and you're humming and hawing, that's enough doubt in your mind. That's enough doubt to say that you're not fully committed to the project and the club. So I want this to be resolved because I want this to not fester. Because I don't want to see Trent slaughtered in comments. I don't want to see Trent vilified if this drags on and he ends up going. If he's made up his mind and he wants to depart to Madrid, let's have that conversation. Let's be open. Let's be upfront about it. If it goes that we drag it on and it goes into November and December and January, and then all of a sudden in March time we hear, oh, well, yeah, he's going. You're going to feel duped. I am. I say this absolutely honestly. I'm going to feel duped if that's the case. Because if you want to be captain of Liverpool, you got to stay to do that. So again, tell the club that's your prerogative and get it sorted. I thought it the obvious that you start contract talks when the players are down to their last 18 months. There is, I guess if you're looking at this from a number of different ways, we knew that Jurgen was going to depart, and that impact could be huge on Trent's outlook. So I think we can all kind of understand that if Trent wants to, or wanted to at that moment, wait and see who the next coach is going to be, or wait and see what direction the club's going to go. Fair enough. But now we've got a new manager in. We're 1 point off the top of the league, 3 wins from 3 in the Champions League, and playing pretty well. So if Trent doesn't see that this is a club that can fulfill what he wants to do win Champions League and win trophies, I still don't see what's going to convince him then. He shouldn't need to be convinced. Liverpool Football Club is challenging. Liverpool Football Club is right up there again. What more does he need? Yes, the money, but I don't think it's going to be the money that's the deal breaker here. January, I believe he can sign a Bosman deal. So in January, Trent, Virgil and Mohamed Salah can all sign a pre-contract agreement to sign for a club outside of the Premier League, outside of England. And they could do so 6 months ahead of time, obviously, when the contract's up in the summer. So yeah, that part is true. You can't let it get to January. You can't. If you're Liverpool Football Club, you cannot let this get to January. Tanya said, did Slot swear at the fourth official? He said that he swore at one of our players or to Sipka Hulshoff about something. He said that's effing stupid or something like that. But I think he said the fourth official felt like he was talking to him and that's why he was booked. If I remember him correctly from the post-match press conference. IFI Must said, Craig, we'll know one way or the other in January. If it gets to January, mate, in my mind, it's done. You know, yeah, in my mind, it's done if it gets to January. As in, he's off, I mean. Craig, why is the Ballon d'Or taking so long? I've got no idea, mate. I've got not much interest in it, to be honest with you. I only spoke about it today because I thought that it was embarrassing, Real Madrid's behaviour around the whole thing. Right, so here's some stats. Darwin Nunez since the start of last season. Now remember, this is the man that many people are trying to call a flop. Mainly from outside of our camp, by the way. Liverpool fans expect a bit more from Darwin, but certainly know what he's capable of. 20 goals and 15 assists since the start of last season. Not exactly shy, is it? So again, it's about a narrative here. If that was a United player, they'd probably want him to win the Ballon d'Or. 20 goals and 15 assists since last season. And yet somehow, in a lot of these conversations, he's been spoken about as a modern day Andy Carroll, while Anthony and Marcus Rashford are strolling around Old Trafford doing nothing. But he's the one coming in for grief. Weird. Now look, as I said, we as Liverpool fans are aware there's more to come from Darwin. But the treatment and the level of undermining has been mental. And what worries me about it is this, right? If you've got younger, more impressionable people online and they see a narrative that Darwin's crap, and maybe their football knowledge isn't where they'd want it to be yet because they're only learning the game and growing up and trying to understand it as they go, as we all did growing up, they're going to have this planted in their brain and they're going to start undermining Darwin because of the agenda against him from other people. And that is something that worries me quite a bit in modern day fandom. Is there's so many shit takes out there by people who haven't got a clue what they're talking about that it starts to form narratives around players that shouldn't even exist. If that was Hoyland, Sky Sports would call him the next coming of Cantona. Yes, probably. Exactly. Like, look, again, not trying to say Darwin Nunez has been absolutely amazing. I'm just trying to say there have been players who've been a lot worse that are getting away with it. I love Darwin's defensive work and he's improving, said Harry Klein. Absolutely improving, Harry. I've really enjoyed watching Darwin in recent weeks. And he played a big part in our equaliser, of course, against Arsenal. Scored a goal the game before in the Champions League, I think it was. Actually, I can't remember which game he scored the last goal in. But he's looking like he's contributing to the team. And more of that, and I think we'll all be happy. David said, I can see another McManaman with Trent going to Real Madrid for free and not making the club money when the club made them. So I guess if you juxtapose that, David, with, let's say, even Timo Werner, who could have left Leipzig for free, but ended up signing a new contract with Leipzig and then getting sold to Chelsea and Leipzig getting money. And he doesn't even have the same connection that Trent would have to Liverpool. And again, Carroll was speaking about this and said that if Trent did go, that he will end up being spoken about similarly to a Steve McManaman, to a Michael Owen, who made that move and did kind of leave the club somewhat in the lurch. But the big difference there, I guess, was they were there at a time where Liverpool weren't challenging at the very top as consistently as we have done during Trent's time at Liverpool. So I can understand that as well. McManaman went and won 2 European Cups. And went and won a league title. Probably not going to be doing that at Liverpool at that moment in time. So understandable. Owen, look, everybody has their own take on him. But Stevie G stayed, and that's why Stevie G is idolised, apart from the great stuff on the pitch, as much as he is. I hope Trent does stay, because I want him to be in that category. I want him to be adored as much when he goes home, when he walks around the city, when he's 40, 50, 60 years of age. Mr. Shoebill, Lautaro Martinez 7, Cole Palmer 25. How? Again, it's probably coming down to the competitions that they were in. Look, if you're asking me which one of those two I think's a better player, Cole Palmer. But, you know, Inter Milan did have a better season last year. Who do you respect more, Arteta or Pep? The only thing that stops me immediately answering Pep is his doubling down of this whole Man City have done nothing wrong part. That's made me lose a lot of respect for Guardiola. But as a manager, he's incredible. There's no denying, he's incredible. So, are Arsenal fans over the top in their opinions? And 88% of you guys said, yes, they are over the top in their opinions. Good. I'm glad it wasn't just me. IFI Must said, Craig, Trent leaving for Madrid. If he does, Madrid will eat him up. He's a local boy and that's slim. Look, they will absolutely rinse him if he goes to Madrid and doesn't do it week in and week out, like they've done with everybody else. They're already getting on Jude Bellingham's back, and he had an incredible season last year for them, but obviously this season hasn't got the goals, so they're on his back already. Now, they're not noticing that maybe Mbappe is taking up more of his positions and he's having to drop back a bit and take some of the less of the goal-scoring fun, but that's Madrid fans for you. These are the same fans that booed Ronaldo after he delivered them European Cups, league titles. It's a sense of entitlement that I couldn't even comprehend, to be quite honest with you. Steven Gerrard is a legend and he can talk 19th to a dozen. Steven Gerrard is an absolute icon, absolutely, and stayed at the club. And that's important here. Sheikh said Arsenal think they're a top 5 club in the world. I don't... It's difficult because I don't think they're not a good team. I do think Arsenal are a good team. But they haven't won anything yet. Like, they haven't delivered with this great group of players yet. And Arteta hasn't delivered yet. And I'm just trying to be fair and say, if this was a manager at United or Liverpool or Chelsea, I think that they wouldn't be in the job now if they hadn't delivered in 6 years. One big trophy. They've won an FA Cup, but no European Cup and no Premier League. At what point does Arteta really come under pressure? Because our managers haven't been given £100 million midfielder, and we've been there or thereabouts in recent years, and we've won a Premier League and a European Cup and been in 2 more finals on the Jurgen. I mean, I think they're accepting mediocrity there, to be honest with you. If he goes this season and doesn't deliver one of the 2 big ones, I think Arsenal fans need to have a serious conversation about whether Arteta is or has taken them as far as he can, and maybe somebody else needs to come in there. Right, so somebody's given us a suggestion for a poll, and I'm happy to put it up. So the question on this poll is going to be around Alexis McAllister. 1 second. Right, so the question is going to be, has Macca's form fallen off this season? Because it was suggested to us from somebody in our Discord group. Mark sent it on to me, so I thought I'd throw it up there. Has Alexis McAllister's form dropped down a little bit this season? I'm probably more in the no camp on this one. I feel like in the last week or 2, we haven't seen the best of him. But overall, I think he's an important part of that midfield. Rodri has won the Ballon d'Or, has he? Good. I think he's the deserving winner. And I say that as a Liverpool fan. I feel like there's more sense to Rodri winning that Ballon d'Or than there is Vinicius Jr. winning it. That's the fairest I can be about it. I'd seen that SPV. Sorry, mate. I meant to comment on that. I'd seen you put it in a few times. Yeah, Bray Wanderers lost, I think, 1-0, but won overall. 2-1 on aggregate. So well done to them. Corin said, I wouldn't say he's fallen off, but he hasn't been as good. I think, look, I love Alexis McAllister. So I think very highly of him. So I would be inclined to say I'm more concerned about the load that's put on him between obviously the international games and Premier League. And I think he's so important that it's very difficult to leave him out and rest him. And because of that, maybe he's a little bit fatigued at times. But I would be in the camp of, if we're looking at it from the start of the season to now, then I would say his form has dropped off. In the last week or 2, maybe a little bit, but overall I would say no. Nonsense there. Vinny over Rodri any day. No. Sorry, mate. Well, the votes have spoken. Vinicius Jr. isn't the best player in the world. That's the fairest I can be about it. He isn't. He just isn't. That's honestly as fair as I can be about it. He's not. I don't look at him and think he's the best player in the world. I don't. You know, that's my take on it. But look, at the end of the day, Rodri's won it, and congratulations to him. Well done, Tarquin. I mean, you've managed to spell Arsenal 4 times there, bro. Fucking genius stuff altogether. Are you practicing for the Chelsea sing-along, is it? You're just getting your version in the Arsenal, 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 Arsenal. What have we got? Poor old squeal Madrid not winning. It's the entitlement there is nuts though, isn't it? Thoughts on Endo? I don't know what you mean. Like, I mean, I was really clear on my thoughts on how this was going to fall from when Arne Slot came in. It was very apparent very quickly that Arne Slot didn't see Waturo as a good fit for the way he wants to play. Now, that doesn't mean Endo can't still get minutes or be relied upon when needed to come in and do a job, but I just don't feel it's we're going to see him much this season, to be honest. But he is an absolute model pro, and every time he speaks, I'm just blown away by how how much of a team player he is in every sense of the word. I hate how Slot dislikes Endo. It's not about liking or not liking. It's about the style of football. It's not like he came in and went, oh, I don't like this Endo guy. It doesn't matter if he's a good footballer. I don't like him. He just isn't the right type of deep-lying midfielder for the way Arne Slot wants to play the game. It's just unfortunate. It's there's no malice to it. It'll be fun to crush Amorim after he tried to cash grab us in the summer, with him becoming the new United coach. It will be funny to see the United fan reaction if he is appointed, because all of a sudden he will be, you know, the greatest thing since sliced bread. Do you remember when Ten Hag came in? It was all like, oh, United are back, yada yada. They just need to show a little bit more humility and realise that there are big problems at Manchester United, and throwing money in it hasn't solved it, because Ten Hag spent more than double what Liverpool have spent in the same time period. 600 and something million quid. Craig, have you seen John W. Henry on the Netflix Boston Red Sox 2004 baseball comeback documentary? I think you know damn well, mate, that I haven't watched the 2004 Boston Red Sox documentary because I don't know anything about baseball. So no, I haven't watched it, mate. Give us your insight though. How is he coming across in it? Is he coming across as a reasonable human being, or is he coming across as, I don't know, weird, cold, distant? I don't know, because I've never really seen much from him. Has the Ballon d'Or winner been announced? Yes, it's Rodri. Did you notice Van Dijk and Havertz fight yesterday? It wasn't a fight. Havertz was grabbing out of him, and then Van Dijk was kicking out of him, and I think a yellow card was more than fair for Van Dijk. You can't be doing that, but you know, also Havertz was being a bit of a pest as well in that situation. Right, let's move on to a conversation about Andy Robertson, because this is a topic that I think is going to become more and more frequent for us over the next couple of months. Do Liverpool now need to start looking proactively for our next left back? Because there's no doubt of Robbo's place in Liverpool history. There's no doubt we all absolutely love Andy Robertson. But Saka at times yesterday showed up some flaws in Robbo's game. And that's, look, no disgrace. Saka's a good footballer. He'll show up many fullbacks. But it wasn't just based off yesterday. I do feel like maybe injuries and father time are catching up with Andy Robertson a bit. And I say that with a very heavy heart, because we all love Robbo. Like, how could you not love Andy Robertson? As a man, as a role model out there on the pitch, the direction his career went, everything about him is just a great story, and a lovely guy. But I feel like he hasn't been himself in the last year, probably. So we do have to start, in my opinion, being more proactive about the future left back. So you're saying about a poll for Robbo, but what's the poll? You know, I don't want to just have a poll about is Robbo not as good as he was, because that feels a bit shitty. So on Macca, 65% of people felt like no, his form hasn't fallen off a whole lot from last year, and I'd be in that camp, I think, overall. Right, so what's the option I could put here then for Robbo? Do Liverpool need a new left back? That's probably the fairest. Right, so a question I've gone with is, do Liverpool need to find a Robbo replacement? I'll leave that with you. Yes or no? if we are proactive with a goalkeeper, then 100% with left back. Very fair point, Matt. And I would say, mate, that we're even more spoiled in the goalkeeping department than we would have been at left back, and we still were proactive and going out there, as you said, and trying to find the next great goalkeeper. Hence, we signed Georgi Mamardashvili. So, yeah, I really like that comment, Matt. Well played. I think it's a fair analysis. McFunkface said, my worry is that we lose both fullbacks next season. I can understand that worry. At least on right back, I feel like Conor Bradley will get to where we want our right back to be. I don't think he's fully ready yet. I think he could do it another year's development, but I do believe that we have a future there. And don't forget, we still have Calvin Ramsey on loan as well. I know Calvin Ramsey's had some setbacks and stuff with injuries and whatnot, but you know, at least there are right backs there that you can say, okay, maybe they become the next one. I'm not really sure if we have that at left back. Finley, thank you, mate. Really kind super chat, Finley. Thank you, bro. Said, Craig, as a Scot, I love Robbo, even though he played for Dundee United. However, he's slowing. He needs to adapt his game to be more of a solid defender instead of an energetic wing back we all have come to know and love. I guess the question I would have, Finley, is that then a case of us adapting our whole system to just keep using Andy Robertson? And will that be to the detriment of the greater good, if you get me? Like, every action has a reaction. So if we're making him a bit less attack-minded, then we're obviously going to be losing out on options when we go forward. You know, so I can see where you're coming from. Absolutely. I just wonder is that too much faith to put in somebody who probably is on the decline a little bit, changing the whole system around. Ashley Dooley said, I think we do need a Robbo replacement and have no joy in saying that. I don't think any of us do, Ashley, to be honest. There is nothing but the height of respect for every single Liverpool fan for Andy Robertson, and I definitely include myself in that. He is one of my favourite signings, one of my favourite characters in that Liverpool dressing room. I love Andy Robertson dearly. I love everything about the man. I love the messy shithousery. I love the way he plays. I love his energy. I love his sense of humour. I love him. We all do. And as you said, mate, none of us take any pleasure in having this conversation whatsoever. But it is, I feel, a conversation that has merit. Would like us to go for the Fulham left back. I think he's too old. I think Anthony Robinson's like 27 or 28. And if you're going out there to replace Andy Robertson, you're going to want somebody, in my humble opinion, 24 years or younger. Because you're going to want him to be there for the next 5-6 years. And I don't think with Anthony Robinson, you're going to be able to do that. Because, as I said, I think he's 27 or 28. To be fair, I'd love him back in the SPL, or SPFL, excuse me. Said Finley Ears Qatar. I don't wonder where he would go, Andy Robertson, if he did depart Liverpool. So, I don't know if I'm ready to move on from Andy Robertson fully, by the way. I'd far rather keep Robbo for a couple more seasons, use him sparingly, and move on Costas. That would be my preference if we're looking at this. You know, I'd bring in a younger fullback that Robertson can work with on the training ground, that Robbo can fill in for when we need him to, and help bring through that next fullback, because I don't see that being Costas personally. David, oh no, sorry, not David, it was a different comment, sorry, I'll come back to this one in a second. Let me just get this one up. What was this? Best 8 million well spent on Andy Robertson. Yeah, I like to think of it as a swap for Kevin Stewart, because we sold him to Hull roughly around the same time. But you'll struggle to see another left back come along that cheap to do as well. Just a great signing. Harry Klein said, I'd still keep Robbo as a second left back along with a new left back. Same. That's kind of what I was getting at there a second ago, my friend. Suleiman, thank you, sir, for your super chat. Said Saka was too sleek, even drew a foul from Maka. Look, Saka was brilliant in that first half yesterday, and you know, as I said when I talked about him skinning Robbo, he'll do that to many fullbacks. You know, Saka is a very good player, no doubt about that. But I still think, that aside, it's not just based off Liverpool fans' concerns. I don't think it's just based off that Arsenal game. Adam said, just asking, are we overreacting to one bad game? I don't think so, personally, mate, because, you know, even speaking with David Lynch and other Liverpool fans, I think the consensus is that between the injuries that have caught up with him throughout last season that kind of hampered the season, and if you go back and talk about last season, Adam, I think many of us would say it was a poor one for Andy Robertson because of injuries and stop-start nature of it. And I haven't seen any real obvious improvements for it this year, so I think yesterday may have been a catalyst to kick on the conversation, but I don't, certainly my own reaction isn't just based off yesterday's game. You know, that's my take on it anyway. Loved Robbo when he toyed with Messi. Oh mate, it's one of my favourite moments of the whole club era was Andy Robertson and Messi. That was just brilliant. Right, look, folks, couple of things. One, thank you to everyone, by the way, that's got tickets to the live show. As you can see now, believe it or not, we're only 2 weeks out from this Friday until we're at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool for our live show. Still tickets available. If you want to come and see us, you can get them with the link pinned to the top of the chat or in the description of this stream. It's an all ages event, meaning everybody of all ages can come along and join us if they like. It's going to be on the Friday night, November the 15th, during the international break that's coming up. So if you want to come see us, meet up with everybody in Liverpool, say hello to some of your fellow Anfield Agenda community as well, make sure that you come along on the night. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a music act with us. We're going to have a stand-up comedian with us. And then there's going to be me and Connor there on the night as well. As always, afterwards, we'll make sure we have time for photos and a chat and everything else. And it's going to be a real pleasure to come over and meet you all again. We also have Owen Beck. We do. I just don't know again if I would be hanging my hat on him being the next Liverpool left back. Who would you sign at left back? It's a really good question. And you know what? I don't know. Nuri off the top of my head. But I'm sure there's probably another couple if I really spend time looking into it. I mean, I think Nuri, for me, ticks a lot of boxes. Premier League tried and tested. Wolves may go down this season. And if Wolves do go down, you know, you could make a really good argument that he could be gotten for a snip then. Can you do a vlog on the Liverpool date? Would love that. I don't know if I'll be able to because I'm flying in and out. I've only got hand luggage for the plane, so I don't really have the ability to bring equipment and stuff over with us. Obviously, I could probably do a bit on my phone, but between getting there, picking up the hire car, going to the venue, checking into the hotel, doing the sound check, and then doing the show back into the hotel, up in the morning to the plane, I don't know if I'll have the time to do it. And when I go away like that, I'm terrible at remembering to do stuff because I get so caught up in being with the people that I'm meeting over there and chatting with them that it usually just means I ended up doing nothing. News on Marmoush. Just more Jaworski. Just more that he's been linked yet again. We spoke with David Lynch about him this morning, and you know, we were talking about the X Factor. Jamie Carragher made a comment the other day, and I said to David, would you agree with Jamie Carragher that Liverpool are lacking that X Factor a little bit? And I was expecting him to kind of bring the conversation back to an attacking midfielder, but David actually thought maybe we're missing that X Factor from the front line. And then the conversation kind of went to Omar Marmoush, and there's been lots of links saying that he wants to come to the Prem, that he'd say yes to Liverpool immediately. The price tag looks realistic. So, you know, it isn't in the category of us saying this is going to happen, but it's a very feasible deal if Liverpool want to pursue it. Will Lukeba join Liverpool? Unsure, but what I would say is, if he signs the new deal at Leipzig and it looks like he's going to, if I'm Liverpool, I'd walk away. Like, why would you want to sign a player who's just gone and made it more expensive for you to sign him? You know, if Liverpool wanted Lukeba, you'd say to him, don't sign that new deal at Leipzig. It gives us a better negotiating standpoint. Because once he signs a new deal, Leipzig's hand is strengthened, and you're basically, Liverpool having to pay more for a player who's just made it more difficult for you to sign him. It just doesn't make sense to me. Jaworski said, I love your screams. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate you. Appreciate everyone that's coming to support us. Now, a little favour if I can. Two things. One, if you haven't hit the like button for me, please do. As you can see, we're over 500. We'd love to get that up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do as well. Massive thank you to everyone that helped us get to 279,000 subscribers. Obviously, next up is 280. And then the big one, we're heading towards 300,000. So if you can do us a favour, hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Somebody else said thank you for responding. Hey, Tatiana, always try to respond to as many comments as I can in a stream. This is what our shows are all about. Interaction between the chat and myself. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love chatting with you all. Right, so I said, do we need to find a Robbo replacement? And look, 90% are saying yes, pretty much, 89%. So I think we can agree that it's certainly on the to-do list for Liverpool to look into the future at left-back. Is ENQUIRIES a good Robertson replacement? For me, yes, Shakes. You know, everybody will have their own opinion on it. Now, of course, I wouldn't have looked into this anywhere near as much as Liverpool's data analysts and recruitment team would have, who would have all the underlying numbers to show whether ENQUIRIES would be a good fit. I would say yes. I think at about £40 million, not too prohibitive on the price point. And certainly a lot of people that I've spoken to feel similarly that, yeah, ENQUIRIES could be a good fit there. Is Mamardashvili playing for Juventus at the bottom of Serie A? La Liga, yeah, I think you meant. A good practice or bad signing? A brilliant signing. And look, he's at Valencia because that was the club that we bought him from, and they knew they were in for a difficult season, and they wanted to try and make sure, if they can, that they stay up. And Liverpool had time on their side for Mamardashvili. So yeah, it kind of worked out for everyone that, well, leave him where he settled. You know, playing in a good league. Yes, he's at the bottom of the league, fair enough. But he's still performing really well, even in, you know, that poor Valencia team. Came 7th for the Ashton Trophy today as well at the Ballon d'Or. So, very good keeper. Curtis said, been shouting for Anthony Robinson for the past year. I think his age is what will stop that, mate. It's a short-term fix. If Anthony Robinson was 24, I'd be on here screaming his name. I promise you I would, because every time we play Fulham, he stands out to me. But it's his age. His age is going to be prohibitive, because you're only going to bring him in for 2 or 3 years and then you're already looking at a replacement. It just doesn't seem to make sense for the structure of the way that we go about our business. You know, I would fully be expecting somebody under 24. Did the Lettuce win? No, Ten Hag beat the Lettuce. Yeah, he beat the Lettuce. When I came back from Turkey, the lettuce was gone. It was brown and ugh, so we had to throw it out. But he didn't outlast the potato. So, you know, call it a draw. Ten Hag won one round, the potato won the other. If Trent left, who would be our vice captain? Oh, I'd give it to Maka, personally. Yeah. If Trent left and we needed a vice captain, Ibu or Maka would be where my head's at. Yeah, that's where I'm at anyway. I think either of those two and I'd be absolutely sound. You know, I would say Ali, but we don't really know what the long-term future is there. If Robbo was still around, you could throw Robbo's name into that conversation absolutely as well. But I think, yeah, look, if I had to pick one, McAllister is probably at the top of my thought list. Salah, not as a vice captain. If you want to make a new captain and Trent had gone and Virgil gone and Salah was there, absolutely. I'm just a fan of a captain being somewhere in the middle of the park. So either a centre-back or a midfielder. For me, as a captain. I want them looking ahead. I'm weird about this and I could be completely mad here. But I just think if you want your captain out there on the pitch, he needs to be able to observe the game and impact the game and move people around and do all the things that you want a leader to do out there. And I don't know if that added distraction would benefit Mo at this point of his career. Maybe I'm mad on that though. Maybe, that's just the ramblings of a lunatic. What do you think Chiesa would do about Liverpool? I don't know what you mean do about. I'm really excited about Federico Chiesa, and I understand that people are a little bit disappointed at the minute. But I would try to look at it like this. We're trying to do the hard part now so we benefit for the rest of his contract. If we put him in now and we play him too early, he'll pick up more injuries and he'll just end up becoming a stop-start career. And we don't want that to happen. So I fully trust the process that Arne Slot's going through here, that they're trying to do everything they can to make sure that when he is fully dropped in properly, that he won't have this stop-start nature and be picking up these secondary injuries from the sheer intensity of what we're needing them to do. So yeah, I love Chiesa as a sign, and I think it's a really good gamble for that price point. Canade vice captain could learn leadership from VVD. Yeah, I threw his name around earlier. Black Charizard. Yeah, absolutely. Look, Canade has been nothing other than sensational for us this season. We spoke about it with David Lynch earlier as well. I'm glad to see that Arne Slot gave him special attention when he was in his post-Arsenal press conference, and he actually asked one of the journalists, who else stood out today, trying to, get the answer out of him. And Arne Slot then, gave Ibu the praise that he's deserving. I mean, he is big. Look, we have to hear about Gabriel and Saliba, and they are a great centre-back pairing in their own right. Absolutely. But at what point is the media going to start giving Virgil and Ibu credit and start putting them in that conversation? Because they're sensational and right up there, in my opinion, as the best pairing in Europe at the moment. I'm not saying they are the best, but they're right up there in that conversation, is what I'm trying to say. What's this? So Guillaume Balaguer is saying this. Ruben Amorim might decide to wait for Manchester City if Pep leaves, but United are pushing for a deal. Marco Silva has also been approached by United. Interesting. So let's play this out a little bit. So Ruben Amorim, let's say, turns down United and waits for Manchester City. And then in January time, Manchester City are found guilty of some of those charges. And they face points deductions, expulsion from the league, whatever. I still find it mad in my own mind that there is even any consideration given to going to Manchester City from players and coaches with what they have facing them. I don't... It's a big gamble if you're Amorim. It's a big gamble either way. If you go to United, it could be a graveyard for your career. If you wait for City, you could be waiting for a club that are going to be docked points, thrown out of Europe, relegated. Or maybe it all comes up rosy for Man City and they're found not guilty of all the charges because of they're a great team of solicitors, and definitely not because of a loophole, definitely because they did nothing wrong whatsoever. Do you think Rodri deserved the Ballon d'Or? I think he was a more deserving winner of it than Vinicius Jr. Because at least I can look at him and think Rodri's the best in the world in his position. I don't feel I can say that Vinicius Jr. is the best attacker in world football. Not a chance. He's a really good player. I'm a fan of Vinny Jr. But Ballon d'Or, it just seems silly to me. I don't know. You know, it's a tough one because we've gone through this whole era of it basically being Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldo, and then throwing a Luka Modric here, but mainly Messi, Ronaldo. Do you know what I will say though? It has shown up Madrid to be yet again an entitled, arrogant arsehole of a club with levels of entitlement and delusion that I've not seen elsewhere in the world, especially from a club that are trying to get out of the Champions League to run off to start the Super League. And now all of a sudden they're all concerned about UEFA. UEFA dissing them, UEFA not respecting them. Yet these are the same lads that are saying, well, we're about to jib off the Champions League and go play in the Super League. But also, you're not respecting us. Fuck off. Honestly, just do one. Perez and all of them, just do one. They're all just self-serving arseholes. And this nonsense about being disrespected is the biggest load of my arse in the world. Poll every football fan on the planet, every single one of them, and ask them who they think is the most bowed down to club in world football that gets more Ballon d'Ors and more attention and more media darling. And I guarantee you 99.999% of the answers are Real Madrid. It is, to hear them talk about being disrespected is absolutely priceless. It's embarrassing even to say that at Madrid. It's fucking mental. Amarim will haunt us. I still wanted him over anybody in the summer. Look, he's a good coach, but I understand why Liverpool went for Arne Slot. If you look at the style of what we play, the players that we have at the club, and you have to say, and look, you know I'm very outspoken when it needs to be about the higher-ups at Liverpool, but Hughes, Edwards, and the recruitment team, and whoever else came to the decision to go with Arne Slot. Phenomenal decision, because the drop-off has been minuscule. The ease at which we've transitioned into Arne Slot, I think you have to just say, wow. You know, it's everybody, from fans to media, we were all expecting a bit more of a drop-off, and it's to Arne's credit and to the recruitment team of the club's credit, and of course the coaches and the players' credit as well, that this has been a somewhat seamless transition. Craig, what will the Spanish media do? Praise Rodri or clown the Ballon d'Or for not picking Vinicius? Probably a bit of both. You'll probably get the Madrid-friendly media going in on Rodri and the Ballon d'Or, and then you'll probably get the greater Spanish media correctly lauding a very good footballer. People are already starting to moan about Vinny Jr. getting robbed. I don't get yeah, I don't know who those people are, but I think that they're very, very mistaken if they believe that he was so much better than everybody else that it's a robbery that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or. It's a robbery because they thought they were entitled to it. That's what they feel. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and if I am, I will apologise. But did Romano not say a week or so ago that Vinicius Jr. was winning the Ballon d'Or? Did Fabrizio Romano, or did he not, come out with that phrase that Vinicius Jr. was winning the Ballon d'Or? How did that work out? And it's not the first, and it's not the second, it's not the third, fourth, or fifth thing that he's been very, very wrong about recently. I think his influence is waning, because I think people are starting to see through a lot of the crap now. Meeks, Liverpool Forever, said Rodri deserved it. I don't like City, but it's deserved. Mate, I detest City as much as anybody, and I will sit here and say he's a deserving winner of a Ballon d'Or. He's an incredible footballer. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, I don't ever want to give City credit for anything, but he is a deserving winner, in my opinion, of that Ballon d'Or. Do you think that Kirkes could sign for Liverpool? 19, plays for Bournemouth, so he's played in the Prem. He's certainly been a name, Panda A, that's been mentioned as somebody that Liverpool are aware of. I'm not going to sit here, I don't have a great contacts at Liverpool Football Club around who we're looking at and not looking at, but he's certainly somebody who I'd be very surprised if we're not keeping tabs on. Michael Owen Ballon d'Or for Liverpool and Rodri Ballon d'Or for City. Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, I didn't realise Kevin Keegan had won 2 Ballon d'Ors. I knew Keegan won a Ballon d'Or. I think it was at Frankfurt or something. Not Frankfurt. Was it Frankfurt? Stuttgart? Where was it that he played in Germany? Can't remember. But yeah, I didn't realise Kevin Keegan had won 2 Ballon d'Ors. That was when I was looking through the list earlier. Hamburg. Thank you, Dave. Hamburg, yes. Yeah, I didn't realise he'd won 2. Wow. Some achievement, that, to be fair, for Keegan. Incredible. And like, I'd always known he'd won a Ballon d'Or, but I didn't know it was 2. I have to be honest, I didn't. Old Captain Jack said, I would argue Rodri's success is mainly down to cheating, being able to put together such an immense team financially, which led to success. Cool. Now answer me this, Old Captain Jack. How did they win the Euros? Because remember, they didn't have a superstar manager. They don't get to buy players, Spain, for the Euros, and yet they still went and delivered. So I get where you're coming from. And yes, you know my take on City's success, but he is legit outstanding. He really is. Like, sometimes when Rodri's out there playing, it can look like men against boys. Like, he is that good, in my opinion. So yeah, it doesn't, did translate then as well to success. And that's what I mentioned earlier on when we're speaking about Vinicius Jr. Brazil are crap at the minute. Like, they are the poorest version of Brazil in a long time. So if you're talking about Ballon d'Ors, you've got to look at the whole picture here. Because then if it's not talking about international footballer either, then Haaland should be in that conversation. But you have to look at it all, I guess. And if you take it all in, well-rounded, I think Rodri's a deserving winner. Craig, do you think we could have gotten a better result at the weekend with Szoboszlai starting? I do, after watching James Alcott's video, yes. I do. It was, yeah, like, it's very... Okay, how do I say this without making myself sound like an arsehole? So I'm quite headstrong that I know football. And that I'm able to look at a game of football and see what I need to see and analyse what I need to analyse. But I have to admit, I was certainly educated by James Alcott's video. And look, I'm somebody who always wants to give good content creators a mention. And not that he needs it. He's a successful content creator in his own right. But really, really impressive to see the difference that he did make, Szoboszlai, when he came on. So, yeah. Again, I would say check it out if you get the chance. It's a great video, but very well explained as well in it from James. Nazar said, just wanted to know your thoughts on Evan Ferguson. Do you think he has the potential to make it at the very top? Yes, I do. And injuries at the moment have been a bit of a stopper of his momentum. But if he can put the injuries behind him, and if he can have 1 or 2 more developmental seasons at Brighton, I think he's tailor-made to go to a Manchester United or to be Harry Kane's longer-term successor if, let's say, Solanke doesn't work out with Spurs. There's a centre-forward of real promise in there. And I hope it benefits, obviously, us as a national team in the future. But absolutely, he is a big unit of a fella. And he's got all the tools to be a success. You just hope that he can get past the niggly injuries he's had. But yeah, I really like Evan Ferguson as a player. What's your opinion on Kimmich and Nuno Mendes? Don't know all that much about Nuno Mendes, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and profess to have watched all that much of him. Joshua Kimmich's a very good footballer, and I think would be an asset to any squad in the league, or in Europe, sorry. Yeah, very good player. Where around the pitch does Marmoush play? He's an attacker, mate. He's an attacker. He can play central, he can play in a wide position. Which again, to me, kind of leads into the fact that we love a utility forward who can play right across the front line. And also he's doing it in a good league, in the Bundesliga there as well, with Eintracht Frankfurt. David said, I don't rate Ferguson all that much. I'd rather get Delap to declare for Ireland to be starting. Why not have both? You know, why not have both, mate? Yeah, look, I do like Evan Ferguson. I'm not going to go back on that. I really do. And I think he's got all the attributes to be a great player. Just needs a run of games now and to start bagging more goals. Which fan base, apart from Everton, United and City, do you dislike the most in the Premier League? So, I want to clear that up straight from the off. I don't dislike Manchester United's fan base one bit. I respect them. And I've great banter with them. And I'm sure some of them hate me with a passion. But I can only say what I've always said. I have the height of respect for United fans because they've been very good to me. And yes, there's always going to be some that don't like me. But there's been a lot of them over the years that have reached out to me, that have been supportive of our content, and that have always had a nice word to say about me. And I always appreciated that. So I have nothing but respect for United fans. And anything I do is bait. To interact and banter with them, but I have the utmost of respect for them. City fans, I don't, and again this sounds like a dig, but I don't actually know all that many. So I don't really know what their fan base is like, because I know they have a very good reason to dislike me, because I am constantly calling out Manchester City and what I perceive as their cheating. And I've been doing it for a long time, and I've been very single-minded in it. And I've not held back. So I can understand Manchester City fans thinking I'm an asshole. I've no issue with that. Everton fans, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Everton fans, in all honesty. I don't really have too many dealings with them. So I guess my answer would be, up until yesterday, it probably would have been Chelsea. But after yesterday, probably... No, I think I'm going to stick with Chelsea. Arsenal fans left a bitter taste yesterday, but I think I'm going to stick with Chelsea being the ones I would say I dislike the most. Because I don't feel like I have a lot in common with a lot of Chelsea fans. I think our view on the world is quite different. I'm very much of a more socialist mindset than a lot of Chelsea fans. What about Geordie fans? Top notch. Newcastle fans, great bunch. So what about you guys? I've answered. I've been fair. What fan base do you find the most abrasive? What's your opinion on Salah 1 goal away from beating Fowler? I think he's 1 goal away from beating Fowler in Premier League goals. Look, Salah's place is cemented. Legend. You know, it's up to each individual where they want to put him in the pantheon of Liverpool greats, but he will be right up there with your Robbie Fowlers, with your... He's probably just below Steven Gerrard and Kenny Dalglish, and then it's Salah and the rest, in all honesty. I hate the Real Madrid fan base, said Jaworski. Kevin Keeley Jr. said United. Mo Salah 11 said Arsenal. African Cat Arsenal. Sinister Arsenal. Badruddin, Man United. Paul Hegarty, United. Chop, Barcelona. Santiago, Arsenal. Arsenal, United. Yeah, so as I said, I don't know, I've been maybe lucky that United fans have been supportive of me as a person. So that definitely does. I think there's a respect between Liverpool and United fans, underlying it all. Banter aside, and there is, of course, going to be competition and banter. I think both fans understand that the other club is successful in its own right and historic in its own right and deserves respect. Kevin said pretty much any of the London fan base, and I live in London. So it's weird because like I get on great with Lee Gunner, as I'm sure you know. And I've not had many other dealings. Like I've only done stuff with a handful of Arsenal fans over the years, and I've always thought, oh, they're decent people. But yesterday in that stream, it just really knocked me for six how shitty they were when they came in. Right, we need 9 more subs to get to the next 100. So if you haven't subscribed, please do, my friends. Is Chiesa available for Wednesday? So, speaking with David earlier on, he said Chiesa and Bradley will be touch and go. Be close to see if they're available for Wednesday, which is decent enough news. I would be surprised if either started. And by the way, you're going to hate my predicted 11. It's going to come out in the morning for the Brighton game. You're going to hate it because I've made a shit ton of changes to it. But here is what I found difficult. Changing up the back four. Because every time I wanted to move one player, I was stuck. So, if we accept that we need to change the right back because Trent's carrying a niggle and Bradley might not be ready, well then who do you play at right back? And if the answer is Gomez, then who are you playing at centre back? Because I think Van Dijk and Konate absolutely need a rest. So, you've got Kwanzaa. Who's the other centre-back going to be? And if it's Gomez, who's your right-back going to be? So that's where I found it really, really difficult with the predicted 11 that I did for tomorrow. Will said, Craig is a Liverpool fan. My friend, a Liverpool fan. He said your content's really good and wanted to say thanks for the updates. He's got a question for you. Who's the bigger legend, Firmino or Coutinho? Firmino, easy, hands down. I don't think it's even a contest. I think if you asked 100 Liverpool fans, 100 of them would say Firmino. I don't even think one would say Coutinho over Firmino. It's absolutely Firmino. Yeah, Bobby's a legend. I love Bobby. He's my favourite player of the Klopp era. I've got a painting of Bobby Firmino on my wall over there. I love him. Does Yaros start for you? Yes. I did have Kelleher in initially, but the video I did with David earlier, David seems to think that we may likely see Yarosh starting, so I changed my 11 and put Yarosh into it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight. I will see you guys tomorrow. Preview coming out tomorrow morning. Don't forget to check out the video I did with David Lynch. That went up earlier on. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 8:45 for the late night agenda. Much love. Bye-bye.